The Thursday Murder Club was released almost 5 years ago, but it's still consistently in every bookshop I walk into. So that got me thinking, what is it about this book and is it worth the hype? So I got onto reading it. On the face of it, this looks like a standard murder mystery, but what sets it apart is that it's set in a retirement home and the four main characters are pensioners. So that makes it a little bit more intriguing compared to your standard detective mystery story. So the first thing to mention about this book is that it's written in multiple points of view. We have Joyce, it's written in first person point of view, and then the others are written in third person point of view, but it tends to focus either on one character or either just generally describing the situation in third person. I really appreciated how they had distinct voices. So Joyce, obviously, she has her first person point of view, and you can tell it's her writing because she has a very different style to the other characters. When switching to third person point of view, for the main supporting characters, they all have kind of individual writing styles, so you can differentiate between them. Like for instance, it can go from light-hearted for one character, and then suddenly it will go like quite serious for another character, depending on who they are. Overall, I did enjoy the writing style because it was very informal and it felt like we got to know the characters better because of it. I'm going to talk about the pacing now, and normally I am not a girly who likes slow-paced books because I just lose attention quickly. And this one actually was pretty slow-paced because it follows every character every day until they figure out the murder mystery. So normally this is not something I would go for, however I think it worked really well here because the writing style just kept you engaged, and also some of the stuff they get up to is kind of bizarre, so in a funny way, so that kept me entertained. The four main characters definitely helped drive the story too because they were so unique. Starting with Joyce, she's like your typical British grandma who loves tea, cake and all things traditional. But she also has a slightly spontaneous / whimsical side, so she longs for adventure, and I think this murder mystery is right up her alley because of that. Next up is Elizabeth. So it doesn't actually say she was a former spy, but it is heavily alluded to because she mentions going on trips during the Cold War, and generally she's just very organized and methodical, so she's the one who gets things done. Ron is an East Londoner who has decided to retire to the countryside of Kent. He is very outspoken, brash, and is not afraid to say what he's thinking, which I think is a nice contrast to the other characters. It also makes for some funny observations from other characters when they first meet him. And finally we have Ibrahim, who is a retired psychiatrist. He is very analytical, it's quite quiet in comparison to the others, but he's usually the voice of reason when the others are spouting nonsense or panicking. As well as the four main characters, there are of course several supporting characters, most of whom live in the retirement village, and I'm not going to go into them too much because they didn't really add anything to this review. However, I will mention the two police officers who have been assigned to solve this murder mystery officially. They are Chris Hudson and Donna de Freitas, who I hope I have pronounced right. Chris is an experienced detective who likes to do things by the book and is also going through a midlife crisis. Meanwhile, Donna is a younger police officer who's just moved to Kent after a breakup. And I think the idea is that she's meant to add some kind of youthful energy. So here we can see some text message exchanges which were a little bit cringe, but I like the idea of it. I will say I thought there were maybe a touch too many side characters because it did get a bit overwhelming, especially towards the end, but I think it was kind of needed because they do live in this retirement village surrounded by people, so I kind of get it. Talking about the plot of the story, I think it was well done. Like, it's such a simple premise, but the author executed it quite well, and especially for a debut author. I did think the ending dragged a little bit though. It's quite a lengthy book, and towards the end I was kind of waiting for things to just wrap up. As well as the murder mystery aspect, I think the biggest selling point of this book is the characters themselves because they're so unique and the four of them just bounce off each other so well. I dare say the publishers have also cottoned onto this because there's quite a lot of bonus content at the back just based off the characters alone. So would I recommend this book? Yes, I would, especially if you like murder mysteries, funny characters and solid escapism.